Good afternoon, Philadelphia, and welcome to our very first episode of Agree to Disagree, a fast-paced debate show where two passionate Philadelphians are going to go head-to-head over a hot-button issue. My name is Erica Palan, and I am a lifelong Philadelphian and an opinion editor here at the Inquirer, which means debating is kind of my full-time job. Before we get started, I want to give everybody a couple of quick housekeeping notes from our producers. At any time during the debate, you can submit questions for our guests. To do so, please ask your questions in the comment section on the bottom of this page right here. If you're watching us on social platforms, hey, welcome. We're so glad to have you. Please join us in the Q&A at inquirer.com/agree to disagree live. I'm going to say that one more time because it's long. Inquirer.com/agree to disagree live. And while you're there, please be sure to weigh in on our official Agree to Disagree poll. At the end of the show, I'll be randomly selecting 3 lucky viewers to win some very cool Inquirer swag. The only way to be considered for swag is to vote in our poll on inquirer.com/agree to disagree live. Now, without further ado, let's get down to debating. Today's debaters will be presenting their takes on an issue that is as old as Philadelphia, cobblestone streets. Do you love them? Do you hate them? Have you sprained your ankle too many times while walking in the rain? Maybe that's just me. Our guests today, Kim Kelly and Andrew Ortega, are going to get into it in just a couple of moments. So let's welcome them to the forum. Hey, Kim and Andrew, thank you so much for joining us. How are you guys doing today?
I'm excited to get my butt handed to me probably, but also to be very mad about cobblestones online, which is kind of the impetus for all of this, me being mad about them on Twitter.
That's true. And Andrew, how are you doing today?
Great. Thank you for having me. And I'm eager to defend our streets.
Good. Before we get started on this debate, there is one thing I want to get out of the way, because on Agree to Disagree, we always strive to be the most accurate we can be. So before we get this started, Andrew, explain for our viewers, what is the difference between cobblestones and Belgian blocks? This is a thing I just learned.
Sure. The word cobblestone gets used sort of universally, but it's not accurate. Cobble comes from the Old English word cob, which basically means a round lump of something. And in the way back days, they used to just pluck stones out of creeks and rivers and streams and sort of lay them out in a scattershot pattern. The best place to see an example of that I could think of is the Merchants Exchange building in Old City. But most of what we actually have in Philadelphia, or what most people are referring to, is Belgian block, or some people may refer to it as ballast stone. And that gets its name essentially from, there was a huge shipping industry in Belgium. Thus, ships were leaving with stones out of Belgium, and they used it to balance themselves. So when they were no longer filled with cargo, they would dump the rocks. A lot of old port cities like Philadelphia, Boston, New York, etc., would take these discarded stones and use them to pave around the dock areas. A lot of what you see in Philadelphia now has actually been purposely quarried and never was on a ship, but the term gets used loosely, and then people also use the cobble term. But the Belgian block is laid out in a specific grid pattern as opposed to the cobblestone, which is just sort of wherever they fall.
Well, thank you. I will tell our viewers at home that after we ran Andrew and Kim's pro cons in the paper and on Inquirer.com, a lot of readers wanted to write in and tell us about the difference between Belgian blocks and cobblestones. So I am just getting it out of the way in case those readers are watching at home. We know the difference. So here's how things work on Agree to Disagree. Each of our debaters will get 90 seconds on the clock to make their case for why they love or hate Philly's iconic cobblestones. I need all of you at home listening to listen really closely to their points, because at the end of the show, we're going to turn to you, the viewers, to determine who made the best case. Don't forget, you can vote at inquirer.com/agree to disagree live. Now, another thing to get out of the way. I hope, of course, that Agree to Disagree grows to be the most powerful show in Philadelphia, and that these debates are going to bring change to our city. But let's remember today, this is all in good fun. It's not about who's right or wrong, but about who makes the most compelling case. And even if Andrew and Kim never find consensus, they can't agree on anything, let's hope that they can agree to disagree. So now we have to determine who's going to go first. And so we're going to employ the most serious technique possible to do this. Rock, paper, scissors. Andrew and Kim, fists up, please. All right, you ready? 1, 2, 3, shoot. Oh, Andrew, I can't see, moved over. Did you both do scissors? I love that. All right, we'll do another one.
I'm just going to do rock. It's 2 on brand at this point. That's
Sure. All right, let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, shoot. Andrew, move your hand. I can't see. Paper?
Yeah.
All right. So paper covers rock. Andrew's going to go first. There was no way that was not going to happen the first time, right? That you were going to throw the same thing. All right. So thank you for being our first contestant or first debater, Andrew. I'm going to give our readers some bio. So when he's not traveling the globe working as a DJ, Andrew Ortega is a longtime board member of his local RCO and an engaged and active community member. He's also been an advocate for public transportation and safer streets for all for years in Philadelphia. So Andrew, tell us, what makes you so passionate about this topic?
Sure. Here, let's go. So to start
No. Oh, okay.
Right. Okay.
I was just going to banter, but all right, let's just get right into it.
Okay, I'm ready if you are.
Sure. 90 seconds on the clock. Let's do this.
Okay.
Ready? And get going.
Okay, so of all the streets in Philadelphia, only 328 of those have some non-asphalt surface. Only 328 blocks have a non-asphalt surface, and just 159 total streets in the city. So this is not a lot. Most of those are in Old City, and unfortunately, they've been fallen into a state of disrepair. A lot of people will claim the biggest problem with them are ADA compliance issues, but with proper maintenance and new technology, there's no reason why these cannot be brought into compliance. They also are great for helping with stormwater, rain, runoff issues. They're also helpful for reducing our problem of heat islands, which we have in the city, where the sun is reflected off the black asphalt, creating huge spikes in temperature. And as I mentioned in the article, they're great for slowing down cars. I mean, last year, Philadelphia set a record for pedestrian deaths. If that's not a reason to keep them, then I don't know what is. So in summation, we should keep them. There's not that many, and we should be working hard to find the money to maintain them.
All right, that was pretty good, Andrew. So just to sum up, they are good for the environment. They slow down cars, which could, help save people's lives. And we need to figure out a way to maintain them, not ditch them altogether. Pretty good. All right, Kim, how are you feeling? You ready to take your turn?
Yeah, I mean, I talk fast, so let's see what I come up with. I'm kind of doing a little more off the cuff. I have less statistics, but more gut anger about it. So we'll see how that works out.
Great. So Kim Kelly is a freelance journalist, a labor reporter, and an author currently based in South Philadelphia. Her work can be found in Teen Vogue, The Baffler, Esquire, The Washington Post, and many others. All right, Kim, we've got 90 seconds on the clock, and go.
It would be awesome if the city would spend the amount of money needed to smooth these out, to make them more accessible, to do what they need to be done, what needs to be done to make cobblestones and Belgian bricks something that works for everyone. But is the city really going to spend money on that? I mean, while that's wrapped up in committee or whatever happens to make things happen in the city, there's still going to be people on bikes, people using mobility aids, people who are just trying to walk down the street who are dealing with the inconvenience of these things. I hate them. I have weak ankles, so they've ruined my day multiple times. But outside of just me, I mean, it's the issue for a city that is huge on tourism. There are swaths of old city that people with disabilities or people who are older, people who are dealing with strollers just can't get to because of these damn things. I understand the aesthetics, I understand the environmental aspect, and I understand the history, but we're living here now. And even if Belgian blocks are somehow salvageable, tell me those terrible slippery rocks downtown are doing anything but ruining everybody's ankles and probably doing something to the carriage horses. Like I'm not as I haven't been studying streets for nearly as long as my colleague here, but I've lived here for a while, and I know that the last thing the city needs is anything that makes it harder for everyday Philadelphians to get around, to get things done, and to walk safely down the streets. I mean, you've seen our sidewalks. There's not that many options, and I don't think that I hate cobblestones. I hate them. I hate them.
A lot of passion from Kim. I can feel it radiating off my screen. So to sum up Kim's argument, hard for people with disabilities, hard for people with strollers, and we live now, we don't live in the past. Well, thank you both so much. For our folks at home, remember, now that you've heard their debate, now is the time for you to go to inquirer.com/agree to disagree live and vote for who you think made the most compelling case. And don't forget that those of you who are voting will be entered to win some very cool Inquirer swag. I have some right here. Our producer sent it to me. I'm not gonna lie, I wore this hat this weekend. So while our producers are tabulating the votes, Kim, I wonder, when you were listening to Andrew, was there anything you heard that made you think differently or change your mind?
Yeah, I mean, along with, I think, a lot of people, I learned about the difference between cobblestones and Belgian blocks. I don't like either, but I understand a little bit more about the utility and the environmental aspects of Belgian blocks that are positive. And I do agree with them that if we're going to save these parts of our city, then we need to actually do it and use that money. Maybe take some from the cops. They've got plenty, you know?
And Andrew, I wonder, same question to you. In listening to Kim and her fist shaking, were there any points that made you think differently or really stuck with you?
She mentioned the tourism angle, and I would have to disagree in that, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry in Philadelphia, and most of our tourism is coming from people interested in our history, not how smooth our asphalt streets are. So this is an investment in ourselves. It's going to pay itself back. It might be a dime a dozen in Europe, but in America, it's a rare thing, and people come to experience it. The fact we've allowed these streets, they're protected, and they are historically designated, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're given a budget for maintenance. And ultimately, the issue is not the material, it's the maintenance. And so we need to invest in ourselves. If anything, Old City should be expanding its stock of these Belgian block and more traditional paving materials, because people love it, And as I said, with technology and modern ADA compliance, you can make these accessible for everyone, And a safer, slower street is going to work better for anyone, no matter how they're getting around.
So outside of tourism and like that historical focus, which, yeah, that's valid. What about Germantown Ave? What is the point of having these jacked up rocks all over out there? There aren't that many tourists going to Germantown Ave, and it's still a nightmare to navigate for people trying to walk around and who have strollers, who have mobility aids. Like there's not, what's the point of that?
Sure. Again, the issue is not the material, it's the maintenance. And our streets department is massively underfunded. And it's much easier just to repave asphalt every 10 years. I mean, these stones will last decades and decades with just a little bit of upkeep. From the environmental impact that they have, the fact that they do slow down cars, the fact that they do provide a placemaking that asphalt doesn't. Germantown Ave is a historic street. And parts of it may not look like it now, but it's really worth investing in. And just paving over that history, we're taking away a lot of the value of that street.
All right. Well, thank you guys for your time and for your passion and your research. I'm excited to tell you that the results are in. I don't have a drum roll sound effect, but like the results are in. And before I announce them, I have to remind everybody that we do want our readers to leave us questions and comments at inquirer.com/agree to disagree live. And now, without further ado, the winner is Andrew. Congratulations, Andrew. 69% of our viewers thought that you made the strongest argument. I don't have a prize for you today, but I can say that I'm very sure our cobblestone streets are not going anywhere. So perhaps that is a prize in and of itself. All right, folks, that's our show for today. We told you it was going to be fast-paced, and we did not lie. Thank you so much to Kim and Andrew for being our first debaters on Agree to Disagree, and thank you to everybody who watched at home. We'll be back in a few weeks with another hot topic to debate, but if you want more opinions about issues that matter to Philadelphians, please visit inquirer.com/opinion, where our writers and editors, including folks like Kim and Andrew, are cranking out must-read pieces every single day. And if you have ideas for topics you'd like to see us debate on Agree to Disagree, email me at opinion@inquirer.com. And that's it. If you liked it, if you like what you saw today, tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your frenemies. This is Agree to Disagree on Inquirer Live, and we'll be back soon. Bye, guys.